We're given these two rational functions, and we want to find the domain of f of g of x. So what you need to do first is we have to write out our definition. So that means that you're putting in the g into the f. So you have to do two different things when you're doing a problem like this. Whatever you're putting inside, you need to find the domain of that. Then you also need to find the domain of the whole thing. So first, I want to find the domain of g of x. That's this right here. So first, I do domain of g of x. Okay, so here it is right here. I have 1 over x. I'm not allowed to put a 0 into the bottom because otherwise it's going to be undefined. So therefore, what I would write is this. Domain of g of x is not equal to 0. So that's actually going to be part of my answer. I'm not allowed to include 0. That's always the first thing you do. So whatever you're putting inside here, inside is g of x, find the domain of that first. Second, you want to find the domain of the whole thing. So let's do that now. We're going to do f of g of x, which is 1 over x. Okay, so now I want to put 1 over x into this expression here, putting it into the f formula. So it's going to look like that. 5 over 1 over x minus 3. You can tell right away the reason why we want to find the domain of g of x first. That's because if we look at this now in this form, we already see here that 0 is not going to be allowed in there because that part of the problem is going to be undefined. So that's why we have to consider the domain of g of x first, because you're putting that into something else. But we're not done with this yet. We want to get rid of these double fractions. So I'm going to write this as 3 over 1. I'm going to multiply this by x over x to get my common denominators. I get 5 over, that's going to be 1 minus 3x all over x when I put that together over a single denominator. Now I need to flip this. You take care of double fractions by multiplying the top fraction by the reciprocal of the bottom one, and we get x over 1 minus 3x. So therefore, you get 5x over 1 minus 3x. That's what you're going to get for f of g of x. So this bottom one, that bottom part is not allowed to be 0. So this is where we're going to look at the domain of the entire thing. So 1 minus 3x is not equal to 0. If you solve this, you get 1 is not equal to 3x. So you get that x is not equal to 1/3. So now I have two different things I'm not allowed to use. I did the domain of g of x first, and I said that x is not equal to 0. Then I did the domain of this once I finally worked all this out, and I got that x is not equal to 1/3. So usually you're going to write your answer either in set builder notation or interval. For problems like this, usually it asks for a set builder notation. This is saying the set of all values of x such that, and you're saying that x is not equal to 0 and x is not equal to 1/3. So it's saying that all values of x are okay except for 0 and 1/3, because if I put 0 and 1/3, I cause denominators to be 0, and those numbers, undefined numbers, are not allowed to be included in our domain.